Welcome to Cham'Pain with Cavanagh. I'm Craig Cavanagh, and today we have the incredible Joe Cordina as our guest, a two-time super-featherweight world champion and a true force in boxing. With a professional debut in 2017 and impressive titles including the IBF title and regional championships, Joe has shown resilience through challenges including a hand injury and a tough loss in 2024. Join us as we explore his journey in the ring, his aspirations, and get to know the man behind the gloves. Joe.
I'm good, Craig. How are you, my man?
I'm good. I've been such a fangirl moment for me because we've been mates on Insta for a little while.
Yeah.
He's such a cool and sweet guy, and I follow quite a few boxers, but yours was one I did truly follow because when you had that hand injury, it was that moment in that fight, I was just a fan immediately. So I'm honoured that you came on.
Nah, I appreciate you for having me, my man.
Honoured you came on. Right, so let's get straight into the questions then. Joe, tell us a little bit about your upbringing in Wales.
Obviously, I was born in Cardiff, Wales. My mother and father. My father's Maltese, my mother's Welsh. I grew up in a place called St Mellons, council estate, big council estate, and it's quite rough.
Cardiff.
Yeah, it's not much grows there. Do you understand? Like you don't really get people coming out of there doing well. You might have the handful full of people that do well, which I can name a couple. You have likes of Craig Bellamy. Obviously, he played for Liverpool. Craig Bellamy lives a stone throw away from
like
my
the way
you
told me, because you can tell obviously I don't follow footy.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
surprising that I follow boxing, but
so he done well. Craig Kennedy, he won regional titles as a fighter. There was a guy called Leon Jan. He played football for Wales, at Arsenal growing up, and unfortunately his career took a turn for the worst. Got involved with the wrong things, but that's easily done in our area. Do you understand? So, yeah, I grew up in a place called St Mellons, and big council estate, and I had good parents. They kept me away from all that sort of stuff. Give me everything I needed to succeed, and obviously I turned out that I did. I'd done everything that they thought I would. It wasn't boxing my first sport. It was football and rugby. And
really?
Yeah, I was playing football.
Yeah,
I was playing football for Cardiff City as a kid, and then it went to the FAW. I was also playing rugby for Cardiff schools, East Wales, Cardiff District, all the way up, and then.
That's how you know how to take a knock then.
Yeah, of course, and that's the thing. I was playing rugby, but my old man, I was always smaller than everyone else. You understand, playing rugby. So, and that was my first love, rugby. I loved it, and if I could, I'd go back, but I'm just way too small. But I was fighting all the time because I was a lot smaller. People sort of look at you as a target.
Yeah.
So my old man he grew up with a big family. He's like one of 24, and my mum's one of 15. So I got a big family, and there's a lot of boys, and then a lot of them got names in Cardiff and around the area. So he always taught me, listen, don't take shit from anyone. If anything comes, he said, boom. He said, yeah, and then we'll ask questions later. So I said, okay. So every time we were playing rugby and something like that happened, I just crack him, bang, and then I was getting sent off all the time. So it got to a point it become a problem. People started complaining and whatever else, and it was a point of the next step is probably a report to the WRU, and I'm not going to be able to play anymore. I'll probably get a little ban or something. So I started. My dad said, "Do you want to fight? Go to the boxing gym." But I shit myself. I went to the boxing gym, and I thought I was Prince Nassim Mohammed. And then I just went from there. But like I said, going from St Mellons, you had to be able to handle yourself because people always try and test you on the street. Do you understand? So
yeah, it's very similar Cardiff and Liverpool. You've got to be able to know how to handle yourself.
100%.
I like what you said before when you said you've done everything your parents said, and you've still got more to go. But can we just go back to the Maltese roots?
Yeah, my grandfather was born in Malta.
Sorry.
And then he came over. I can't even remember when he came over. In what date, but then obviously my father was born in Cardiff, and then my father went back over there when he was about 15. He had a few problems back home. He said he went back over to Malta then he came back. And I probably would say a few things, but I don't think he'd be happy with me saying it. So yeah, he came back over to Cardiff then when he was about 17, 18, I think. And then he'd been there, he was there, but now he's living there for the last 6 years, I think. For about 5-6 years he's been living there. So he won't come back. That's where he's based now.
Do you go over there often?
Yeah, I go there every year. But he comes over when I fight as well. So I see him when when I'm fighting. He'll come over for maybe a week or two. It might be a 2-day thing, and then he'll shoot back. To be honest, he can't stand the UK. He just wants to be in Malta.
Yeah, he's in the same boat as a lot of us, I think.
Yeah.
Is his name Joe as well?
Yeah, Joe.
Is
it
Joe?
My grandfather's Joe. My dad's
all
Joe.
Joes.
I'm Joe. My
so
boy's
which Joe are you then?
I'm
the fourth or the third?
Well, I don't know. People call me Little Joe, but I think I'm Big Joe. He's a bit smaller than me, so
Big Joe with the career and the P's, I can tell you that. You know, he followed me on. I'd seen this name Cordina Joe, and I was like, "That's got to be his our fella." Our fella. You know, what you mean, Dad. So you played other sports as you growing up. Who were your role models and inspirations when you were like a young athlete?
I'll be honest with you. My dad's always been my idol. Do you get me? He's my king. I've always, that's who I wanted to be like. And I was down one of my dad's old friends' garage the other day, and we were talking about the old times, and all I wanted to do was be around my dad as a kid. And he was out from 5 a.m. because he used to race grounds and do the horses and whatever. So he used to be out at 5 a.m. and he wouldn't come back till like 6 in the evening. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him throughout my childhood, do you get me? It was only on the weekends when he'd take me football, rugby or training, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the rest was like my mother taking me to the football or to the boxing gym or whatever. But any chance I got to spend with my dad, I did. I just wanted to be around him. So he was like my idol growing up. And then when I got into boxing, I remember he gave me a DVD called The Fabulous Four, and it was Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran, and Sugar Ray Leonard.
I remember. I remember that.
Unreal. And he gave it to me, and I watched it, and I got drawn straight to Sugar Ray Leonard, and I was like, yeah, he's the man. And I remember it was a fight with I'm sure it was it was Hagler, and he's done this mad like fucking bolo, bang. He hit him. And I thought, yeah, he's the man. And then from there, I just looked up to him through boxing, football. It was the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo growing up, Ryan Giggs. I loved Ryan Giggs, Zidane. And then rugby was a guy called Robert Howley. He was a number 9 for Wales. I loved watching him. Also Peter Stringer for Ireland. I used to idolise him through the rugby. And yeah, but overall, it'd be my dad. He's my idol. So
besides from nearly getting banned from rugby, was there any other moment when you realised that you just loved boxing and you wanted to do it?
Do you know what? I was shit scared, I'll be honest with you, when I went to the boxing gym the first time. Shit myself. It's full of travellers. You go in there, and most gyms are growing up when you're a kid. So I walked in the gym and it's just full of them, and I'm thinking, fuck, here we go. It's going to be
rough.
Am I allowed to swear?
You can say whatever you want on here.
Yeah, that's fine. So I was like, fucking hell.
There's ale there, mate. If you can't swear when there's ale, I don't know when you can.
Yeah, I went, fucking hell. And I have shit myself, I'll be honest. And I never shy away from a fight, do you get me? But it's quite intimidating, like as a youngster. I was 15. So
and you're a baby.
Yeah. So I've gone in, and they'd all eat in a bag, and I think, fucking hell, they're good then. Then I hit the bags, hit the pads and whatever, and the coach at the time was like, oh, listen, you're fucking good, you are. He said, why don't you fight? And I was like, nah, don't want to fight. And then he must have spoke to my dad, because he knew my dad, so he spoke to my dad, my old man, and my old man went, why don't you have a fight? And if my dad says something, I got to do it.
You've got to do it.
So if he said, go and jump off that fucking cliff, I'm jumping off it, do you understand?
Right, a passage of
it doesn't matter what it is, I'm doing it, if my dad said. So, especially growing up, no, I'd be like, nah, fuck that. But back
Liar.
then. Yeah, I know, I probably. But he said, why don't you fight? And I went, yeah, go on then. And I remember my first fight. I've opened the curtain because it was in like a marquee on a rugby pitch. It's in a marquee, and I've opened the curtain, and the first person I seen was my dad.
Mm-hmm.
If he wasn't there and I didn't see him, I was packing my stuff and I was leaving. I was like, fuck that. But yeah, I have shit myself walking into the gym the first time.
Must be terrifying. Like, so how did your family and your friends react when you told them like, I want to pursue this boxing like full time?
It's, to be honest, like everyone, like growing up, especially Cardiff's quite a tight knit community, so everyone knows everyone. So when I started boxing, like the gyms used to be on every corner, but like of late, when I'd say when I first started, a lot of them closed down. So there was only maybe 5 or 6 around the Cardiff area. So if you were involved in boxing, you know everyone involved in boxing. You're going to the shows every week and whatever, and you're seeing the people week in, week out. So you get to know everyone, but then your name starts going around as you start winning and whatever else. But yeah, they were all supportive. I used to have like hundreds of people come to watch me just on a fucking club show. So
just in the in the amateur ones?
Yeah, in the amateurs. So like I always had great support. Don't get me wrong, you have a little bit of hate from people, but that's normal in life, innit?
If you didn't have hate in life, then you wouldn't be doing.
No, of course,
you wouldn't be making moves.
100%.
And like, that's
so, but everyone was pretty much supportive, like especially my friends and family. They all wanted me to box, and yeah, and you do get the ones that was like, oh, you'll be a world champion. You think, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
And I used to say, and there was a guy, my dad's mate, and a mate of mine as well, a lot older than me, Nino Spiteri, and he said that I'll be a world champion. And a few people have said it to me, you'll be a world champion one day. And
it happened. It's mad because you equally get the same amount of people who doubt you, and it can sort of it can get into your head a little bit.
Of course, like for instance, it can consume you, and sometimes if you have a little bump in the road, it can knock your confidence. You think, oh, I'll never get there, and it's a hard road, especially boxing, because the politics involved and the ups and downs in people's careers. Like I've had plenty. It does, like you said, knock your confidence, and it is hard to get to a world title.
I think that one of the most valuable things I've ever learned in my life is the pain into power thing. You can either dwell and like sink, and or you can turn it into fuel and go like, you're never going to catch me like making that same mistake again. Yeah. So I want to talk about your professional debut in 2017. What was that experience like for you, and how did it compare to your expectations?
Well, my debut, it was in Liverpool, the Echo Arena.
It certainly was, yeah.
The Echo Arena. So Liverpool's got a special place in my heart. I boxed here a few times, so yeah, I like Liverpool. I won my first GB championships here.
Yeah.
Where was it? It was in a leisure centre. I can't remember where, but we stayed in the Adelphi Hotel.
The Adelphi. Was it local too? Yeah.
Yeah, it was local. It was
Everton. Everton, was it?
Yeah, it was Everton. Is it Everton Park? Fucking
Everton Park. Is
leisure centre or something like that?
I think it's Everton Park, maybe.
Or something like that.
Is it the one by the hills? Where they go on the running hills?
Yeah. Okay. So it was there, and
my geography's shit, by the way, and I live here as well. So go on, sorry.
So it's not far from here actually, because I remember walking down the streets, because me and my wife walked, because I've been with her since I was 16, and we walked from the hotel down to the town centre, and we had some breakfast and whatever else. But it was, my debut was amazing. I didn't have the nerves like I think everyone has, because I've been at the highest level in the amateurs, and me trying to get to an Olympic Games was, for me, was everything. I wasn't interested in turning pro. I only wanted to go to an Olympic Games, and that was me. That's all I ever wanted to do.
That was your goal?
That was my goal. And so when I didn't make London, it was a bit of a kick in the balls, do you understand? And I was like, oh, fuck, I missed out. And the kid that beat me in to qualify for London, I beat him to qualify for Rio. So I had to wait another 4 years to qualify. So I put everything all my eggs in that basket and trying to get to the Olympic Games, and I qualified, and the amount of pressure I had there would never compare to anything I've ever do in my life. It was so much pressure trying to get to the Olympic Games, and then when I got to the Olympic Games, it was 10 times more. I think it consumed me, the pressure, and I think maybe that's why I didn't perform as well as I needed to get to where I did. But so when I turned pro and I had my debut in Liverpool, it was like a walk in the park for me. It felt like sparring.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask. What's the difference between the two? But like, it was so much more pressure for the Olympics.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy because think of it. It was like 8 years trying to get to an Olympic Games, or just shy of 8 years for me trying to get to an Olympic Games. And if you didn't make the Olympic Games, that 8 years are wasted. And I'm thinking, I've traveled back and forth Sheffield for the last 7.5 years, week in, week out, and earning hardly no money. For what? Yeah,
people don't know how underpaid you are until you get to a certain level. It's shocking, really.
Do you know, for the first 2 years, I was on £415 a month.
No.
From GB, yeah. £415 a month.
How did you eat? Or was that why it was such a good course?
No, so actually, well, no, it wasn't, because I was spending all my money in the week eating in Nando's. And me and a few of the boys, me and Fowler was always in there. So yeah, but yeah, we won't pay very well until you get, you start winning fights with Team GB, and then your money goes up like to 800 or 580, then to 800 and something, then £1,000 when you get onto podium. Then it was like 1,200 quid, then 1,500, then 2002. Luckily, I got onto 2002 eventually, but it took a lot of wins, winning tournaments, and there was a point in my career, I think it was like 2015, I was going to pack it in, because I was my wife now. She was pregnant at the time. We just found out she was pregnant. I was like, listen, that's not paying. I need to go and get a job to support the family. She was like, oh, and I thought, you know what, fuck this. No, I'm going to give it one crack. I'm going to knuckle down. I'm not going to fuck around. I'm just going to keep my head on it, because Team GB is like a big youth club. All the boys together. You train, you go back, go Nando's, you're having a crack. And you're getting up to mischief. You're having the crack. That's all you're doing up there. So it's like a youth club. So I stopped all that, and I just knuckled down. I was going to bed early, getting up early, doing what I needed to do, and it paid off for me.
That's exactly what Anthony said. He said, as soon as you had the baby was on the way, you just changed, you switched, and it's done the world of good. Obviously.
No, of course, it was that was the change for me.
That was the tipping point. Can you talk us through the journey to becoming a super featherweight world champion? Like just talk us through like the journey from start to finish.
Yeah. So obviously I had like 180 amateur fights, something like that. We as Anthony will probably tell you, we was fighting quite often. We was having gym bouts constantly. And when we were fighting in tournaments, it's not like you're fighting the best in every country all around the world. So it was difficult. It was a hard few years, because you're fighting the best of the best constant, and you might go to a tournament and you might lose against a fighter. Then the next tournament you might draw him in a first fight. Then you think, fuck, and it's putting like little demons in your head, thinking, oh, I've got to fight him again. And he might give you a pasting. But it's a hard old journey to get to where to the level of being a world champion. Because you've got to do all the legwork as an amateur to get your deals as a pro, to get the promoters to be recognizing you and knowing your name. And for me, I boxed a kid called Ian Weaver, and I beat him in the GB Championships, and it was in York Hall. And for me, Eddie Hearn was there, and I absolutely wiped the floor with him at that time. And he was I think European silver medalist, world number 3 at the time, or something around about like that. He was in the top 10 in the world anyway. but he was GB number 1, and I've gone in there, and I wasn't even on the podium team back then. Me and Anthony was on development squad, so we was on the £415 a month, and I've gone in and wiped the floor with him, and he said in an interview, when he turns pro, I want him, and he followed me for years then, and this was in 2011, I think. So he followed me up until I turned pro, and so you got to do all that legwork to get them promoters to recognize you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for instance, when I was after the Commonwealth Games 2014, I was going to turn pro, and Rob McCracken said, "Don't turn pro because you're meant to win a Commonwealth Games, not just medal.
Mm-hmm.
No one gives a shit about Commonwealth Games. You win, go to Olympic Games, and everyone will want to sign you." And I said, "Okay." So, like that's when I said, when my daughter found out I was pregnant, I knuckled down, got to the Olympic Games, and then I was like, okay, let's move on now.
I'm ready.
Eddie signed me. Had a few other promoters interested, Frank Warren being one of them. I had Mayweather. I never spoke to Mayweather directly or anyone like that. There was a guy called Lee Beard. He was dealing with that at the time because he's a friend of mine. So he was asking the questions because he knew him. But there was a few promoters, but
it must feel amazing having all them different promoters.
Of course,
fighting for you.
it is nice. Do you get me? But you just got to do what's best for you. And at the time, and for me, it made sense to go with Eddie because he was signing everyone, and coming off the back of AJ being the poster boy for British boxing. Follow behind him. You can't go wrong. So the legwork in the amateurs set you up for the pros, and from there you sign with a good promoter. They'll promote you properly, and you get the fights, get the smaller titles to build you up to the big titles. But it was a hard road because we had lockdown, we had COVID,
worst time,
which took a couple of years off my career. Then hand injuries took a few years off my career. So by now I could have been a 3-time world champion instead of a 2-time world champion, and maybe a multi-weight world champion. So we don't know. I still got a few years left in my career, and but yeah, it's hard to get a world title. It's not as easy as everyone thinks, and you do get
anyone who thinks it's easy is an idiot. By the way,
of course. Like you get people that got their opinions online and whatever else, and they say some stupid shit to fighters, but they don't know what they've gone through to get to where they are.
And they're sitting at home being a pack of what's in bed, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like, what?
Exactly that. So I just think what is going through their heads, do you understand? But for me to get to where I got to, it took a lot of sacrifice, hard work, and I suppose everyone, like you've got like the likes of Nick Ball, if he's from Liverpool.
Well, I used to go and train in KBABC a couple of times a week, and I remember him from when he was a kid. He's brilliant. Smashed
he's
it.
a proper. I've never had a proper conversation with him, but he seems like a proper geezer. I'm a big fan of his, actually. He's a good fighter. So like people see him just wiping the floor with everyone, but they haven't seen the journey that is before it to get to that point. You understand? He probably had a lot of ups and downs, and but yeah, most fighters are like that. They've had a lot of downs. They had a few ups, but you probably have more downs than you've had ups. You understand?
They feel you though. But do you know what's funny? Like, so talking about the comments. So obviously, when I was doing, I knew quite a bit about you, but I wanted to get some little bit more. Do you do your homework and all that?
Yeah.
And I read some comments on YouTube, and it's just like I was reading them, and I was thinking, like, who's got the time to do that?
Yeah.
How do you deal with like negative comments? And when we spoke before, when you said about demons, how do you deal with them in your head?
I'll be honest with you, they don't mean fuck all to me. Like, nah, for instance, my old man, he watches the YouTube things, and my sister, she's another one.
Does he ever get on there arguing with them?
No. He have. I said, Dad, these people have got nothing better to do. I said, they're gonna reel you in. I said, and they're gonna get you in a place, because my old man's an angry geezer. I said, they're gonna reel you in, and then you can't access them. because you don't know who they are. They got a fucking blank page. You don't know who they are, and they're gonna rile you right up.
That winds you up more, though, doesn't it?
Of course. So I says, forget about them. They don't mean fuck all to me. I said, they're just words. I said, what? So yeah, I don't really involve myself in the comments and whatever else. Even on like Insta, I don't really get much on Insta. But if I've had some, I address it quite quickly. And when I start, they got no answer for me. So
yeah, that's the best way to handle it, though. So I just want to talk about your hand injury in 2022. Obviously, it led to you being stripped of your title. Yeah. How did you cope with that setback, and what did you learn from the experience?
Yeah, it was quite difficult for me because you work your whole life to get to the point of winning a world title. For you to just have it, I want to say it's a minor injury. It wasn't a minor injury because I fought with it 3 times as well, and it was pain. I had to
fighting while it was hurt. Did you know? No,
I knew it was bad, but I didn't think it was bad as it. I didn't believe it was as bad as what it was. But it turned out to be, I broke my 2 metacarpals. And then, it set me back heavy. And then obviously I'm not earning. And then lockdown came. So it done me double dirty as well.
Double whammy,
yeah. And unless you're fighting, you ain't earning money. So like I was explaining to my mate Hanny on the way up here, every bit of money I had saved went in lockdown. And because I'm a limited company, I'm not getting furloughed. I'm not getting furloughed. I'm not getting paid. I didn't have no sponsors coming in because they shut down for lockdown. So yeah, it was quite difficult. Every bit of money I had, I spent in lockdown.
Devastating.
So yeah, so then it was quite difficult because then obviously you got a family to support. Do you understand? I still got bills to pay. I still got to pay my car insurance. I still got to pay my phones. I still got to pay my mortgage. I still got to go and do my weekly shops. I got to, and it's regular because I'm home. When I'm in camp, and when I was in camp regular, I'm away more than I am home. Do you understand? So my wife's and the kids were in the gaff, and me. That's an extra mouth to feed. So I'm going in. I've spent all my dough, and then when it was coming, when it was time to fight again, I felt I was a bit left in the dark in a sense of when I broke my hand, and because I'd done it twice. I did. So the first time was the lockdown, and then I broke it again after I won the world title the first time.
Had it already healed by then, or was it? Think it was
but it was It was a different one. I don't know if you can see it. So you can see that scar there, and then you can see that one. So I'd done this one first, which was a 2, and then this one I snapped that in half. So it was obviously weakened, and then after I broke it after the world title, then I thought, oh fuck this game off. But then I spoke to Mike Hayton in Manchester. He's the best hand surgeon in the world. Gone and seen him, and he was like, nah, you'll be fine. You'll be back in 3 months. I was like, oh, lovely. So I'm like, this, get me back. Then all of a sudden, I had an email off in the IBF. Oh, we're gonna have to strip you. I was like, what the fuck? So I'm on the phone to Eddie, my manager, my trainer.
Would that have been in time? But would you have been healed in time for the fight, or was it?
I would have, but then obviously not to fight because then I got to do a camp. There was 3 months until I can punch, and then I got to do a camp, which is normally about 10, 12 weeks. So I said extension, but the extension is they only give you a certain amount of time, and it wouldn't have been enough. So it sort of done me a little bit dirty. So I said to Eddie, I said, can you get we crossed a little bit of we had a bit of like words in a sense. We got our wires crossed in certain aspects. So we come to an agreement. He's going to give me the world title shot straight back, no problem. So they put Zalfa Barrett in from Manchester to Rakimov, the one who was my mandatory. So it was probably a good thing for him to do, because if Zalfa did win, then we got an all-British world title fight, which would have been great. But yeah, he didn't come. He come up short, and then I boxed out Rakimov in Cardiff for my world title again. But for me to win that title back it was a sweet moment because
Yeah, I bet it was.
yeah, I showed a different way of me fighting because everyone thought, yeah, he's just a slick boxer. He just boxes, he never gets involved. And then I beat him at his own game. I just outworked him, outpunched him and beat him at his own game. And that was a sweet moment for me. And the trainer in the other corner was Freddie Roach, which is another little buzz for me. So it was a great moment for me.
That video I shared, that was just like that was the moment. Like obviously, I never knew you then.
Yeah,
I think I'd never even spoken to you. And it was just where you went in and you got him, and it was the roar of the crowd. That video was amazing.
It was funny enough. Who was I speaking to the other day? I can't remember anyway. And we was on about that moment, and it was when I knocked him out. There was someone videoing in the crowd, and I posted it on my Snapchat the other day. Someone was videoing in the crowd at the exact moment I've hit him. He'd gone over. The crowd have erupted. You can see everyone just jumping. You just see pints getting thrown in the air. There's just drink going everywhere. And then, funny enough, a friend of mine, Jade Nabat, she messaged me. She said, she went, yeah, I got covered in dark fruits that night. So there was people getting soaked left, right and centre. But yeah, it was a great moment. That was one of the best moments of my career.
Even the comments, I remember the comments on the fight, they were saying, it was just after it, and I think they replayed it, and then they were talking about your hand injury, and that was when I first ever heard about the hand injury, and they were like, from to come back and do that, it was just amazing. You recently faced Anthony Kakachi and lost, and I want to get this wording right, because I mean, even though I typed it out, you lost with a controversial shot, particularly in round 3, and I've been dying to ask you since I've known you what your perspective is on that fight, because I'm no expert. I love boxing, but I love watching it. But I did think that was that should not have that because obviously it was after the break. So
of course.
What's your thoughts on that and how it ends up impacting on the fight?
Yeah, it is. Listen, it's a bit unfair, but I'm not one to cry over spilled milk. Do you understand? For me. And this is from start to finish, I probably should have moved up a weight, maybe 2-3 fights. I'd say about 2 fights before. And I was just advised to stay at that weight because the difference in money is quite substantial, do you understand? So I stayed at that weight. Probably it was only going to be my last fight at that weight. I wouldn't have been able to make it anymore, and it was quite a hard weight cut. My last 2 fights were at that weight. So, and I can't put it down to that because I made the weight. But when the first 2 rounds it felt a piece of piss. I thought, right, I'm going to build on this now, and I'm going.
That's why I asked, because obviously as the observer, you know, it seemed that way.
I could get him out of there down the line, and then the 3rd round come and it was similar. The 3rd round, and then all of a sudden the ref said break. I stop, and I get hit with 2 big shots, bam, bam. And he's known as a puncher, but I didn't feel like it was heavy. Obviously, he's a sharpshooter anyway, so I think that's what people, where they get it, oh, he's a puncher. So he hit me with 2 shots, but I'll be honest, when you're not expecting it, them 2 shots felt like fucking, I got it with a sledgehammer. So I got hit with 2 shots and it sort of buzzed me, and I felt it right down my legs, and I thought, right, okay, cheeky prick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get him back. Now, I've never been in that position before where I've been hurt in a fight and I've had to take a breather or anything like that. But them 2 shots on a break, the referee, I think it was a bit incompetence from the referee, because the referee should have said, whoa, you've hit him on a break, give me my 5 minutes.
I think there was even moments after that, like when he was breaking in between, or he was like thinking, and he was like coming. I've never seen that before. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's happened before, but I've never seen that be allowed before.
Yeah, so that was that. When I just wanted to get him back, but the referee should have said, no, 5 minutes, or at least take points off him. And then me inexperienced in that sense of never been in that position before, I should have just went on my bike or had that round off. And then pick up again the next round. And I just got straight back in. And for me, I just didn't recover. Every shot after that was like sort of, every other shot was buzzing me. So clearly the weight had something to do with it, because I believe the shots weren't heavy after that. but everything was buzzing me. So I know then it comes down to the weight. That was me not fully recovering. But listen, hats off to him. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk in a sense of that's why straight after I never made a big deal of it. Obviously, I'll speak about it now. I don't give a shit. I moved up a weight. But if he comes up a weight, I'd love to do it again, run it back with him. Because I believe I beat him 9 times out of 10. So for him, his Christmas came early. He won a world title. Hats off to him. But yeah, it was a bit unfair. But what can you do?
Very gracious way to deal with it, mate. What are your goals moving forward in your boxing career?
Do you know what? I got 2 years left, I believe. And the 2 years is because I want to, that's all I want to do. I got a young family and I've missed so much of my eldest daughter's early days and my second daughter. And I've missed so much of their life. I've missed birthdays. I've almost missed all of their births, even my boys, literally. So I want to spend a bit of time with them before they start going off to high school, especially my eldest daughter, because in a minute she's going to be, it's not cool to be around your dad. She'll hold my hand now. 2 years time when she's in high school, she's not going to want to hold my hand walking down the street. So I just want to be home as much as I can at the moment, especially in a couple of years. It's going to be difficult, but I think I can still have that moment with her in 2 years. But yeah, I don't want to push it past that, because then she's definitely not going to want to be walking down the street with me. It's not cool to be around with your dad. Yeah, no,
I want to talk about your kids in a minute, because we did speak earlier, and I want to touch on it. Are there any specific titles or fighters you want to that's in your eyesight now that you want to go for?
Do you know what? Anyone with a world title, that's what I want. I want another shot at a world title at the weight above, which is lightweight 130, 135. So anything that can get me into that position of me fighting for a world title, that's what I want to fight. And it doesn't matter what title. I've won 2 IBF titles, whether it's the IBF, WBO, WBC, or the WBA. I couldn't give a monkeys. So one fighter I do want to fight is Shakur Stevenson. He's called me up in the past when I was at 130. And he keeps saying, I mention his name all the time. No, you called me out. So that's the reason why I want to fight you. Then we were lined up to fight again. So you've decided to fight someone else. For me, I just think it's a risk for him of losing. And I just think he's a shithouse. So yeah, but forget him. I don't want to give him too much of my time anyway.
He's ready though.
Yeah.
He said he's ready.
Yeah, 100%. So, but anyone who's got a world title, that's what I want to fight.
Brilliant. Outside of the ring, what are some personal goals and passions you'd like to pursue when you do eventually step away?
Do you know what? I do want to help other fighters, and I don't know whether it's going to be managing. Yeah, that was my plan, managing, or I don't know whether I'm going to help train fighters. I'm still undecided, but I do want to be still involved in boxing because it's a love of mine. But I got a few things in the pipeline. Is in a sense of business wise, I got a couple of properties that I rent out. Then I've just bought a plot of land in a nice place where I'm building a couple of houses on. So that's one thing I want to get involved in, like, deeply, is the properties.
There's massive money in it.
Of course it is.
Set you up for life then.
Well, listen, if you look at the last 20 years, how much properties have gone up. Well, put it this way, I think my mum and dad bought my house that my mum lives in now, I think for about 11, 12 grand, I think, or something like that.
Crazy.
And it's like worth 200 and something now, do you get me? But like I said, we're one of the only ones in my street, in my estate, that have bought our house outright. Lucky it was only 12 or something grand at the time. So yeah, but properties is the way forward for me. I think it's quite easy to do if you've got the cash flow. So yeah, that's what I want to do.
Great stuff. Okay, so you became a father in 2015. Yeah. How has being a dad changed your outlook on life and your career in boxing?
Well, it becomes bigger than just me then, doesn't it? It's I got to set myself, I struggle to read. I can write. I say to people, I can't read and write. I can. I struggle to read though. Like say for instance, I read a piece of paper. It might be 10 lines. I forgot what I've read on the first 2 lines when I've got to the end of the page. So I don't know whether it's a bit of dyslexia or what, but yeah, other than boxing, I don't know what else to do. So for when I had my kids, I needed to make sure I dug in, got my head down, and made sure I made it work, and I did. So like I try and give my kids everything they want. Like we just come back from Dubai, trying to set some things out there, and my one daughter, like, and I don't want to introduce them to stuff like this straight away. I want them to learn how to, they have to work hard to get to certain things, and that's what I will do along the way with them. But my one daughter's like, Dad, can we sit business class? And I said,
Is she the character we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, she thinks she's about 20, honestly.
Love it.
She said, can we sit business class? I said, no, you can't. I said, you just had Christmas. And bear in mind, like, and I'm dead against this, mind. They wanted phones, and I didn't want them to have it. Because I'm not there all the time. I try and get them everything. Like when I come back, I try and treat them because I'm not there. So I treat them. So like when it comes to Christmas, there's nothing else they wanted. There was nothing for them to have because I bought them everything throughout the year. And she's like, oh, my wife said, oh, well, if their friends are having phones. I was like, oh, fuck's sake. So I ended up going buying them iPhone 16s. But I made sure in the guys, like I can track everything. It's linked up to our phones. I made sure it's sound. So they go off at a certain time. They're not allowed there for certain times. So I got them iPhone 16. So I got them everything. So I don't want to spoil them too much. But then she was like, oh, can we sit business? I went, yeah, go on. So I've put them business class, and they didn't want to leave the plane. They just wanted to stay on there. And I thought, fuckers.
She's daddy's girl.
Yeah, I'd say so, but she's a grass as well. She grassed me.
Me too. Can we tell that story, or do you want to tell it?
Yeah. So one day, Sophia, her name is Sophia Grace. She's a nightmare. She's 9 and she thinks she's about 20. Constantly doing TikTok dances in the living room, constantly. And she says, no, I was sat in the house and I was scrolling through Instagram, and it come to one of my mates. It was either his anniversary with his missus, or it was his missus' birthday, but they put photos up, and I can't remember who it was, and they put photos up of things. So I was flicking through the photos, and there was like 1 or 2 of his missus, but obviously she sat next to me. My wife's over in the kitchen cooking. She sat next to me. She went, oh, Mum, Daddy's looking at girls. I've looked at her. I went, I just turned the phone to my missus. I said, come and have a look. I said, that's what I'm looking at. I said, see you little fucker. I said, you're going to cause murder in a minute. I said, you little grass. You're not eating a grass. I said, you fucking are a grass. And then
that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
The other day, I picked the kids up from school, and I gotta go up the hill to pick up my one daughter. I gotta walk down the hill to walk up the other hill to pick up my son from nursery. But then, when you walk down the hill, there's the school gates, but then it goes onto a road. So, but there's teachers at the gates, and there's loads of people there. So my one daughter's walking down, and my daughter waits for me by the gate. So my son's running down the hill. So I said, going, Joe, stop now. So he's running, but then I said, Valentina, grab him. So she grabbed him, and I've grabbed him by the gate. So someone, my miss said to me, I've walked in the house yesterday, she went, actually, I want to ask you something. Did you let the boy run by the road yesterday? I said, no. My daughter went, yeah, you did. I went, what are you saying? You're a fucking grass, you are. She was like, I'm not a grass. I said, you are a grass. I said, stop all that. I said, you're going to cause murder in a minute. I said, go over there. So I sent her over there. I was quite fuming as well, because my missus, she's going, why, you let him run by the road? I said, no. I'm his dad. Do you think I'm going to let him run on the road? I said, he was fine. And but she's a nightmare, she is. My one daughter, she's fucking hard work.
No, she sounds amazing. I love her already. Let me talk about your missus. So you said you were with her from when you were like 16?
Yeah, 16, 15 I was with her from. 15.
Where did you meet her? Was that in school?
So she went to a different school to me, but my best mate at the time, Joe Burns, still very good mates, one of my best mates now. He was in the same class as her in the other school. So we played rugby together, me and Joe. And after our my prom, I went to the after, because we didn't have an after party. So I went to their after party. They was on the same night. So me and one of my mates, Patrick Ball, we went over to their after party, but it was in another mate's of mine's house. So we've gone there and I've walked in and my mate went, "Oh, I want you to come meet someone." So you come in and introduce me to him. I was like, "Oh, something." I wasn't really interested at the time, yeah. So I was like, "Oh, I love doing it." Left it at that. So we cracked on. But I was fighting, and I never ever spoke to her after. A couple of months later, I was fighting in Wales v Canada in Cardiff in like a town hall sort of thing. So I was boxing in there, but it was in the paper because Joe Calzaghe, his belts were on show, and I had that. Funny enough, I had the IBF around me, and down the line I won the IBF. So I was in the paper with an IBF title around me, and she was like, "Oh," she said to her mum, "Can I go and watch this for my birthday?" And she said, "Oh, I've already got you tickets." So yeah, so she come and watch me after that, and I didn't even speak to her after that because I was shy. I was a shy kid, and
from Cardiff, and you were shy.
Yeah, I was because you know I wasn't in, like growing up. I wasn't really interested in girls. I just wanted to be a professional sportsman, whether it's rugby, football, boxing. I didn't give a shit about anything else. I just wanted to. I was on my grind. That was it. And then my dad said to me, he pulled me. It was after the fight. We went to a pub. Everyone went back there. It's called the Tavern Stock. That's a shithole of a pub as well.
They're the best ones, I think, though.
It was mad. It's crazy. So he said, "Come here." So he called it. He went, "You like my son, don't you?" I think I've gone bright red, and then I've gone. But she went, "Yeah, but he don't speak to me." And then from there, and I'll tell you how we ended up getting together. So I never chatted to her. I started speaking to her on MSN back then. So we are.
Do you remember MSN? I've still got my email, you know, the full name, MSN.com.
My email is from the same, from MSN, from all them years. So I was speaking to her on MSN, and I've gone to the toilet, but my sister, my older sister, Jodie, she was in the house. So she was sat on a sofa, but I was on my laptop. So I've gone to the toilet, come back, and I've opened up the chat. And how cringe is this? My sister wrote, "I pure likes you."
Sure.
I went, "What the fuck have you just done?"
Likes you.
I pure likes you. And she went, "I like you too." I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake." And then it just went from there. And then I ended up meeting her on the weekend, started seeing her, and then we got together and been together ever since.
So you need to thank your sister now, don't you?
Oh, do you know, thank her. Fucking hell. I need to give her a slap round the head. She calls me pure headache.
What do you do? What do you enjoy doing in your downtime when you're not training or fighting?
Do you know what? I love playing golf.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know what's mad? Because my mind's working 100 mile an hour constant if I'm not boxing. And even when I'm not boxing, if I'm not playing golf or around the boys, like I'll go to the shisha bar and we'll watch a football and stuff. And if I ain't around people, my mind's working constantly. So golf is the only thing that I can play or go and do, and boxing ain't on my head. My phone goes away and I'm just playing golf, and I can concentrate on that, and it takes me away for a few hours, and that's what I love. So I think golf, when I'm on holiday, I smoke a cigar, so that can take me away as well because I just relax. and that's it.
It's not like you're guilty, the guilty pleasure.
Because I don't drink. Yeah, that's why I need something bad.
There's no bevy in here, don't worry.
No, it's just water, sparkling water.
He's being a good egg. So we've got some questions from Instagram here. And there's two that's not on here that I'm going to read out on here. The first one was, if you were a boxer, what do you think you would be doing instead? I mean, you've said you want rugby football, but if you were a sports person, maybe we should be worded to that.
Do you want to be brutally honest?
Go on, yeah.
Brutally honest. I'd probably be in jail. Coming from where I'm from.
Yeah, no, I get
probably be in jail. But what I'd want to do, I'd be wanting to work anywhere where I could wear a suit on a daily basis, like a sharp suit. I love wearing suits, so anything that I could wear a suit, I'd love to do.
Not like a fitted suit, mate. Not unlike it. So there was another question from Instagram, and it was, have you got any advice for up and coming boxers who are from like a council estate in a really rough area, who are prone to falling in the wrong crowd? That was another good question.
Yeah. How can I say? Well, I had good people around me, like my dad. So this is how my dad done it. So he said to me, and bear in mind, I did. That was the line. I did go like this, and then he soon brought me back. And because something happened, and what he said was, if that happens again, in these words, me and you are finished. And that was I shit myself. And like my dad, like I said, he's my idol. Do you understand? He's my king. Me and you are finished. And I thought, Raz. And I thought, okay, stop that. So I cracked on. But when I started gambling, he brought a gambler who had money, and they were gambling. And he brought him to me and showed me, this is what happens if you gamble. Like, you want to keep gambling, and you're only chasing, constantly chasing, and they'll never speak to you about their losses. They don't tell you about their wins, stuff like that. And this guy had money, but he spunked it all through gambling, and he ended up with nothing. Then I started drinking. Like I didn't start drinking till I was about, I'd say, 20 something. And he was a professional rugby player, and we was at a party, and he said, come here. I'm not going to mention his name. He said, come here, tell him. And he telling me, he was like, listen, Joe, sport, drink, don't work. Then I started out go partying, and he was like, he's got another geezer who brought him over, told me. So he was just showing me, this is what happens. If you do them things, this is what happens. And then I was
showing you like a live example.
Exactly. So then there was a guy called Leon Jan, I mentioned at the start, who played football for Cardiff, Wales, and Arsenal growing up. Great footballer from my area. And he pulled me up my cousin's party the one day, and he was like, we were speaking about life and everything, and I wasn't even pro at this time. He was like, listen, do you know, if I had your dad, he said I would be the best footballer to ever come out of Wales. And it wouldn't surprise me because of the talent he had. And I thought, you know what, if he's saying that, and like people always tell me about like my old man as well, but everything he'd done for me, and my mother, they'd done for me and set me up on the right path, it got to me where I am. So for the kid who asked, or the geezer who asked, or woman who asked, whoever it is, you have to have the right people around you, but you also have to have the drive and the dedication, the discipline to go through with it. Do you understand? And for me, I had discipline, a dedication, I had all that's the will to win and everything like that. And I always wanted to make my biggest fear in life was disappointing my mum and dad. So that's what drove me as well. So for you coming from that council estate, that needs you need to have that hunger and that drive to get out of that. Do you understand? I don't want to stay in St. Mellons all my life. I want to get to the places where you get £1 million houses. For me, Lisbon. It's
like people, like most people, when you're from like an area like that or wherever it is, or you're in a bad circle, they put things into you like you'll never get there, you'll never You know, they do put things into your mind like you can never achieve that. So I think it is. I think your circle is important, but it'd be good to have a dad like Joe's dad as well. That'd help a lot. Like,
Oh yeah, of course.
can you share a memorable or funny story from your time in boxing that fans might not know about? Maybe when you were living with someone.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna be careful. Yeah, I'll be careful. Yeah. I'll tell you one about Fowler. Actually, here's one.
Anthony Fowler, by the way.
Anthony Fowler.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Go on.
So I used to cook in because me, Anthony Fowler, and Charlie Edwards, and Charlie will back me up on this as well. And Fowler will tell you himself. I used to cook in the house because I went to college to become a chef because I love food before I got onto Team GB, and there was nothing else I could have done in college so apart from that, because I didn't need no qualifications because I didn't have any. So I've gone to college to become a chef, and I was a good cook. I always cooked in the house from a young age and whatever. And then when I was up in Sheffield with the boys, me, Charlie and Fowler lived together. And every night I'd go to most of the nights we'd go to Tesco because we'd have food in given to us, but it was shit. So we'd go and cook. So I'm not going to go and spend all my money getting all the food, cooking, cleaning every night.
Yeah.
So I said to Fowler, he was like, "Oh, Joe, cook, will you cook?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I will." I said, "Let's go to Tesco then." So we go on to Tesco. I said, "We all chip in, me, us three, and then we'll get some in and go from there." He said, "What are you cooking?" I said, "I don't know yet, but we'll have a look." So I started getting all the stuff. Got to the till. I was like, it works out, say it was like £15 each.
Yeah.
I said, "You are?" He's like, "Nah, I didn't want that, lad." I went, "What?" I said, "All right." And I thought, you know what, you little fucker, I'll make a point of this now. I said, "No problem." I said, so me and Charlie split it, bang. I said, "I swear to God, you are not having any of it when I cook it." He was like, "I don't want it, lad, I don't." Anyway, we've got back to the gaff. I've cooked it, I'm about to dish it up. So I've dished the one plate up, dished the other plate up, because I only put two out. Fowler went to go, I said, "Nah, you're fucking mad, I took it." I said, "You're fucking mad, bro." So he had a tub of yogurt, in a tub, do you know, the Greek yogurt, but it's like thick, innit? And he went, "What, lad?" And he went to chuck it on the thingy, but it stuck, it didn't come out. I said, so I moved it away. I said, I swear on my mother's life. I said, if that would have went, I said, "I see that pan." I said, "I'll put it on your fucking head." And we sat down. We were laughing over it then. And he tried to chuck it. He tried to chuck the yogurt over and spoil all our food. None of us would have ate. It would just fuck the whole thing up. But that was a funny one. But you gotta think, I've spent 7.5 years living with him.
Yeah.
He's a mad geezer.
He is. He's
mad,
a funny guy.
Funny guy. And I've had some good times with him. Some of my best times in boxing with Anthony, the likes of Anthony, Charlie, Fraser Clark, Galalia fight. Yeah, all them fighters, man. They're good stuff. They're family to me. Do you understand?
He said the same words about you, exactly the same words. Actually, I'll be looking forward to him catching up with you later. Yeah. What's one thing about Joe Cordina that fans might be surprised to learn? You can't use the chef thing. I didn't even know that.
Okay.
I didn't know you could cook.
Do you know music? I'd say music. I just listen to, like, maybe, if, like, say for instance on a drive up here, I had to sort of mix it up because I got a road man with me that listens to gangster music 24/7.
Central C and all
that.
Yeah,
he's flat out. So, but I listen to like 50s and 60s old school music. Yeah,
old school.
So yeah, it's 50s, 60s, 70s, and then like Motown, all that sort of stuff. So I love all that. Even I've started listening to like country music now.
Country?
Yeah, so I was listening to any, like I was driving up and my mate, he went, "Oh, you love all this, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, it's proper music." I said, "Listen to all that other shit." And he's going, nah. But don't get me wrong, I like the music that's today, do you get me? And I started listening to house music now as well, because I never listened to house before. Fowler used to love it.
Well, if you don't have a bevy, the house doesn't make make sense, does it?
Well, do you know what? This is why I got into it. When I was over in Dubai, I was in Box IQ, and there was a load of geezers, and then they put the music on in his house, and it was a hard session. We were doing a circuit. Rocky Fielding was in there. So Rocky was taking the circuit, and I was thinking, fucking hell, Rock. Like, he's graft, like, the circuit's hard, and then the last section of the circuit, I'm on my pads, but he's grafting me. And I was thinking, fuck me, this is graft. I was thinking, I'm a 12-round fighter, and I'm gassed off a little 6 or 9 minute circuit per round, you get me? So, but the house was playing, house music. And that's what was getting me through the session, is that music. So now I've got a playlist of when I'm in the gym, that's all it is.
Got all different playlists for different things. Yeah. Here's another question, an interesting one. Do you think there should be 5 judges to reduce the chances of controversial point decisions?
It could be. But at the same time, what's saying it won't happen with 5 judges? Do you understand? It would be more likely that it wouldn't be controversial because, but it still could happen there. Do you understand? Like, you look at if me and you watch a fight, we're gonna might see it completely different ways. We might see it the same way, but you might look at something that I'm not, and it depends what you like as a fighter, and I like watching as a fighter. Do you understand? So. In America, you got judges that like people coming forward, putting pressure on. In the UK, it's more about your boxing ability, hitting and not getting hit. So that's. But even then, you have some bad judging, you have some bad refereeing, you have
some dodgy
decisions. All, yeah. So listen, I don't know. Like, we seen that AI judge in the Fury fight, and. You couldn't leave it down to that. That's
not even an opinion, though.
No,
it's a computer.
Computer, yeah.
So do you feel like they should all follow the same, literally path? Like, do you think they should all score the same, or do you think they should all be allowed to have all they prefer forwards?
Because as a judge, there's not a set thing that this is what you should be looking for. It's just an opinion, really. What you think about the fight. Like, you might say, for instance, name a fighter that you like watching.
Tony Bellew.
Well, Tony Bellew is a good boxer, but he can whack. Now, if he's fighting someone that's just a workhorse, not really a puncher, and every time Tony hits him with a big shot, boom, and his head's flying back, you're thinking, yes,
he's in with it, yeah.
Yeah. So we've hit him with 3 big shots in the round. He's getting outworked, but them 3 big shots, you think, yeah, he's won that round. Which, really and truly, if you're landing with 3 big shots, heavy shots, and he's going a little bit, but he's working and just tip-a-tapping, and Tony's just defending on his gloves, for me, he's winning the round, do you understand? Them 3 big shots mean more than them tippy-tappies on the gloves, but he's getting outworked. But yeah, it's just what you prefer in a fighter.
Good answer there. If you could switch lives with any athlete for a day, who would it be? Any
athlete. Whoa. Canelo Alvarez.
Okay. Any reason why?
He's just a slick geezer. Great fighter. Plays golf all the time. He loves horses. I like horses. He just seems like an interesting geezer.
Okay, and then the next question is, let me just look at this one and we'll get the wording right. I want to know why you get called Joey Two Socks.
Who give that look?
Yeah, okay. It was Luke.
Oh, he's a slag, he is.
Come on, I need to know now. I've had to wait 24 hours for this answer.
Wait there. Let me think how I'm going to put this.
We'll wait.
Oh,
You filmed on the background.
done me like a kipper.
Like a witch?
A kipper. It's
Oh,
just
fish.
a little, yeah,
Fish, get it.
yeah.
It's bad.
John, my dad gave me the name years ago, and I'll just fucking say it. My dad gave me the name, and I didn't even know what it was back then. But he used to try and embarrass me all the time, and I said, and I don't know if I can say it because if kids watch it,
This is a. You can say what you want on here.
So he says to me, he says, Joe, listen, do you know what his name is? Joey Two Socks. I said, what? I said, what are you calling me Joey Two? Phil's the one, then Phil's the other. And I said, you fucking idiot. But then like anyway, we're somewhere, and he's like, Joey Two Socks, his name is. And then Lukey, I was doing an interview in
I didn't expect that to be the answer. I thought it was going to be something else.
In Cardiff City Stadium. And the guy, it was Derek Brazil, he asked me, he was like, he said, why'd they call you Joey Two Socks?
Just stand there like, what?
I fucking bears are laughing. I mean, you fucking prick. Yeah, but that's a reason. Really, from my dad. And yeah, Phil the one, Phil the other. I said, I said, you can't be saying things like that.
He's a funny guy. Okay, is it true, this is the last one, is it true you have someone in your bed the night before fight night?
Yeah, my cousin Lukey. Yeah. So he stays with me. He stayed from my debut or every fight through fight week. So like, even if I'm from fight week, see, because obviously they think you're just staying on your own. So I said, come and stay with me for fight. I need someone like that is a familiar face. I'm not sat on my own too long, so I'm thinking about things. I need someone there. So my debut was up here, but it was stayed in the Hilton, and we didn't have it wasn't 2 beds. It was a double bed, king bed, or whatever they were. And I was like, bam. But I put a pulley in between us. I said, you stay away from me. I said, I know you're getting sleepwalking and all that stuff.
Do you know what's so funny? I was talking to him on Instagram last night, and that was one of the questions I weren't going to ask, because the way he wears it was like, is it true you sleep? And I was like, I can't ask him. Does he knock one out the night before with someone? And then he passed me this note, and it was like, it's his cousin. Yeah. Don't worry. And then I was like, okay, I get it now. I get it.
So from that day, even if they say, do you want 2 beds, or if they give him a room, I said, no, he's got to stay in my room. That's all how we've done it all the way through. But yeah, I said, as long as you don't play footsie with me and all that. I said, I know what you like with the birds, and you might start dreaming in the middle of the night. So
that's a cracking answer. Yeah. I'm glad. So that's all the questions I've got. Do you have any advice for any aspiring boxers or athletes who look up to you? What would you tell young Joe?
Any boxers? I'd say the one, you have to be disciplined. The discipline is where, like, that's where your career can either go bad, you go left, or you can keep on that narrow road. Because it's easy to just get bypassed, because especially when you're getting from your 15, 16, 17, 18s, and then so on. 15, you start with the birds. Then your mates are going out smoking weeds.
And everything else.
And everything else, you're drinking, and then just so on. So discipline is the main thing for me. Sacrifice is, as you get a little bit older, sacrificing going out with your mates, because I didn't do any of that. I did, but to a very minimum. And then you got to be dedicated to your craft. Do you understand? And I was getting up I remember when I was in school and in college, my dad would have me up at 5 a.m. He'd drive the bike behind me, and I'd be running. And then I'd come back, have a shower, have my breakfast, go to school.
Like Big Joe, eh?
Yes, school and college. Then I'd go from there and I'd run down to the boxing gym, or my dad would drop me to the boxing gym. But there was times where I would get up in the morning 5, and this is when I finished school. No, it wasn't. It was in the 6 weeks holidays actually. So I was getting up early in the morning, 5 in the morning, running down to my gym, which is about 4 miles away, training, running home, going to work with my coach. He'd drop me to the gym then. So my man would drop me to the site where he was building 2 houses. He brought me to the building site with my coach. He was building the houses. And after that, we'd go straight to the gym. And I trained there. So like, I was dedicated. I just wanted to be the best I could be, do you get me? And for me to make the Olympics, and I got there, and that was my goal. So anything to get me to where I needed to be. So sacrifice, discipline, and dedication. They're the 3 things that you need as a youngster becoming successful in the sport of boxing, and it goes for anything, any sport. Football, rugby, boxing, whatever it is, table tennis, badminton, you got to put the hours in.
Golf.
Golf. You got to put the hours in. Golf is, believe it or not. Like, people think it's easy. Like, and when you play golf, you understand how hard it is when you're playing it, and you look at you watch it on the telly, and then they're putting it that far away from the hole, and you think, then you appreciate how good they are. Do you get me? And the hours they've had to put in. So it's they're the 3 things I'd say. And for my Joe, I'd keep him well away from boxing, well away. I'd teach him how to box, but I'd keep him well away. The things I've had to go through and put my body through, sacrifice, and just how political boxing is so bad. So I'd keep him well away from boxing as a sport. Now, when he gets to a certain age, I can't do nothing about it. But as a kid, I'll try and guide him into another sport and see where he goes from there. Perfect.
And lastly, how can fans keep up with your journey and support you in your future fights?
My Instagram, to be honest, I don't even know what my handle is. Yeah, it's Joe Cordina _91.
Not far. There we go.
On TikTok, I've only started like posting regular on TikTok. So I'm not the best at the minute, but that's Joe Cordina 91. So they're and Facebook, or also just Joe Cordina, you'll see it's me. But yeah, they're the 3 main things you're keeping up on. I'm on Snapchat as well, putting little bits here and there, but I'm not so much active on there. But yeah, and obviously just look on your big screens, and I'll be on there very soon.
If your face too plastered, so mate, Joe, it's been a pleasure. I've got a ritual here, and I want you to sign.
No problem at all.
This for me. It's been a pleasure for me to hear your story today.
I appreciate you, man, for having me. Just here, yeah.
Anywhere you want. The Welsh Wizard, I like that.
Do you know what's mad? Anthony Fowler gave me that nickname.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to bring that up to him when we see him now. I'll let you keep that one.
Joey 2 Socks.
Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, my man.